Hi, this is Craig Lane with Health Alchemy Video Blog Week 24. We're going to be talking about the free radicals part 2 and throwing in some contingency plans. Because when we're talking about free radical activity, we're also talking about excessive heat, fire in the body, as opposed to the opposite of the free radical would be the person that's too anaerobic or watery or cold. So heat and cold, we think of things in terms of opposites. So my name is Craig Lane with Health Alchemy, Healthalchemy. One of the things that we're doing in my practice is beginning to offer more group and internet-based containers. In other words, larger containers equals more energy, which equals something to feel supported and draw from, something that's missing in today's world. And so this free radicals part 2, I spent last week basically talking about what free radicals are and how it relates in the body, and today is just a continuation of that. So if we look at things in terms of the primal dualities, free radicals are like generate a lot of heat, a lot of activity, a lot of irritation. The opposite of that would be something that's cold, too soft. If there's too much on one side, then the other polar opposite would be too cold, too soft. Perhaps usually the free radical person that if they're already full of fire, then they're going to present a lot of redness. And then the opposite of that person who's cold is going to show a lot of paleness. So there's some paradoxes here you're going to run across, because one of the things I'm just going to finish up with today is, so free radicals are generated by like radiation. So a couple of things that why there's contingency plans talking about is just keeping in mind that our exposure to various forms of radiation, so microwaves when they're going, cell phones, Wi-Fi signals, smart meters, refrigerators, electrical lines around your house, refrigerators, washers and dryers, large appliances are going to generate a very large electromagnetic field, which is a form of ionizing sort of radiation to the body in a way. Computers, sitting in front of your computer. What else have we got? Sitting in front of your television. And then not to mention radiation in the environment, like here on the West Coast, we're dealing with Fukushima gas ops 24 hours a day. And then we've got, I guess there's this fracking thing going around too, where there's a lot of poisons, and so you can look at various heavy metals can also generate free radical activity like mercury and aluminum and things that end up in the water supply and the air supply that are done by greedy industry that, hopefully we'll get this under control in the next 5 to 10 years, where we get this government under control, we get these corporatocracy under control, and the people take control of things again, versus the top-down approach, which is the government telling us what is healthy, what we should do, and what will be done in our, not in our name, but in the name of money. So today, I'm just going to focus on some things that will help free radical activity in terms of long-term health. And this may not fit into your diet because some people don't do well with these foods, but here it is. You want to avoid all flour products. We talked about that last week, unless they're fresh ground. And even so, I would focus on flour products that more if you have a propensity to be thin and full of heat. In other words, a big red tongue and red face and a lot of broken veins in your inner heels. Look around your heels and inner heels, just above your heels, around your ankles, inner ankles especially. You see a lot of broken veins there, purple small veins, varicosities that are bright red on the back of the leg, a lot of redness around the nose and around here, bright red tongue, especially on the tip. History of mercury amalgams in your mouth that still are not removed or were removed, potentially not removed properly. So these are the worst of the worst cases. And of course, if you have a smart meter next to your house, if you use microwaves, which I strongly suggest you don't, you sit in front of a computer a lot, and if you drive an electric car too, keep in mind that you are sitting on top of a large battery that may or may not be so good for your body. So you want to avoid vegetable oils in any way, shape, or form. Especially in excess. And you're also going to want to look at potentially avoiding the more refined, purified forms of fish and cod liver oils, and you want to use just small amounts of that for inflammation from a raw source, standard process, garden of life, green pastures, and Carlson's is sort of like a B minus C plus grade. They're not, as far as I can see, they're still refining it slightly. And then you want to avoid all other vegetable oils, especially soy, canola, grapeseed, anything that's high in omega-6s. I'm not going to go into too much detail today because you can do that kind of research on the web. And then if you're going to do seed oils like flax or hemp oil, you're likely better off doing the whole seed and not the refined oil if you're under a lot of free radical activity and you show up with a lot of autoimmune. You're not going to want to fry foods. Looking at my list here, I'm going to be really careful with nuts and seeds and avocados, especially if they're not fresh. So avocados can go past that point where they start to bruise too much. And your nuts and seeds, you want to be really, really careful that you're making sure they're fresh. And if you don't think they're fresh, you're not certain, then don't eat them. That's just the bluntness here. But your flax and your chia seeds and your hemp seeds, chances are they are fresh, especially flax and chia. Then you want to focus on more saturated fats, butters, cheeses, some fermented foods, like yogurts are great. You could do miso. You could do apple cider vinegar. Would be great for this person. You could be doing fruit because of the high potassium content. But if your propensity to have yeast and with a lot of this, and you want to be careful with the fruit, believe it or not, this person could potentially do some caffeinated beverages. I wouldn't suggest coffee on a regular basis, but you might look at a little bit of raw cacao, maybe a few times a week, and you might want to look at green tea or yerba mate. The manual I'm looking at is sort of interesting. He recommends pear and horseradish. It's kind of interesting. He recommends heated water versus cold water. A little bit of salt and eggs, but not too much there. There are yang foods, and meat would follow that. And then poached or boiled eggs, like poached or soft-boiled, hard-boiled, and cheeses. Meats are going to be great, and you're going to want to do your vegetables, but not fried, cooked in water or raw. Then as far as supplements goes, these are some of the things that tend to be good, are vitamin E-rich foods. So your wheat germ oil and your raw virgin oils. So there's a Vega oil called Vega oil. There's raw virgin hemp oil, olive oils, flax oils. Again, you're probably better off with the whole fresh seeds, but you can take vitamin E in the form of wheat germ oil pearls, especially from Standard Process Incorporated. And they have a product called Cataplex E, which I highly recommend. But I wouldn't be taking tocopherols or tocotrienols or these Outsmart ourselves, as I call it, these Outsmart ourselves isolates that are not vitamin E. They are part of a larger complex. Coenzyme Q could be helpful. Certain alkaline amino acids, histidine, L-lysine, arginine, glycine, and L-glutamine can be helpful for these people. I wouldn't do that outside of it in a clinical setting, though, getting a proper context for taking those. Because they are, the B vitamin complex can be helpful. Choline and inositol could be helpful. Anything high in flavanols, so a lot of your rich berries and bilberries and hawthorns and schisandra berry herbal extracts can be helpful there. Potassium-rich foods, again, that's fresh fruits and vegetables. Iron-rich foods, which that's kind of your meat and organ meats. And your fresh green leafies would definitely be a good thing there. Zinc in all of its great forms, mainly from food, would be great. Standard Process, again, has a zinc liver chelate. The manual I'm looking at says zinc citrate form is good form. They say lithium could be helpful for this person, and so he likes the amino acid chelate, but I've tried myself lithium orotate, which is orotic acid from breast milk bound to lithium, and that's something, again, to be taken in a clinical setting. Molybdenum is another helpful one. Chromium, iodine, helpful. Phosphorus in the form of phosphorus drops. Inositol and choline are very high in phosphorus, and so are meats, and eggs are too. Ammonium chloride, especially when you have, that's a form of like betaine hydrochloride, ammonium chloride. That's an acid. So if you're running alkaline, that's the person that would really benefit from ammonium chloride. And then anything that's high in lactic acid might be helpful, so that's your ferments. Anything high in acetic acid, that's your vinegars. anything high in citric acid could be helpful, and that's where the citrus fruit you might want to be careful with if you're running overly alkaline. That's where I know there's a lot really could be said here, but I'm just giving you some general contingency plans as a theme, because the next video blog, week 25, I'm going to do right now, actually, because I believe I'm a week behind. And then we're going to be talking about contingency plans for illness and being prepared ahead of time, having this stuff in your house and ready to go. So this is Craig Lane with video blog week 24, free radicals and some solutions based on what I just told you. Don't forget, seaweed is very helpful. And don't forget, there's a certain number of herbs here. Eleuthero is helpful for radiation. Hawthorn flower and leaf when there's cardiovascular damage and stress. Bilberry, most berries, Schisandra berry. I don't know if I mentioned milk thistle and artichoke leaf are often very helpful for this. And there's a lot of other herbs, and you can contact me at healthalchemy.com. HEALTHALKEMY, and we're starting a small intestine remodulation cleanse for 3 weeks. The first meeting is this Sunday, but the cleanse actually starts on Monday the 24th. And this does not need to be done in person. You can do this over the internet. Sign up if you like. It's at my website, healthalchemy.com. Signing out, week 24.